But for me, like going back to the cold calling and like picking up a phone, I think it's such an important ability to have. And there's a bunch of people out there now who like are petrified when this thing rings, like, no, text me, Christ. And yeah, I get it. It's a generational thing, but having the ability to speak to someone, super powerful. But for going out and putting yourself out there, social selling is more efficient.
Super powerful. You just said it there straight away. So like we help people get into businesses as you do, I'm sure. Okay. And we use podcasting as that strategy. Try and get through to a gatekeeper to try and sell something to somebody that you might think is on the lookout for $100,000 a year contract in marketing. It's not going to happen. Reach out to somebody and ask them, I'd love for you to tell your story on my podcast, please. Have a 40-minute relationship building opportunity with them and say, listen, I'd love to have a catch up with you after this, if that's okay. Find out how easy it is to get hold of that person then.
I always say a podcast is like the best date that the guest has ever been on. And, you know, I know I'm making it weird now for us, Rik, but just deal with it. But it's like the best date because literally like your job is to keep that person talking and ask them about themselves. Like on a date, there's more back and forth because no one's a host of the date. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Right. But like, you know, literally after a show, I remember when we first started a podcast, way before we started the business, it was basically me and my business partner, Tony, both musicians.
Yeah.
We weren't playing anymore. So we started a podcast called How to Write a Tune. And we sat down with loads of different musicians to have that green room conversation about like, how do you write that, man? Like had spoken about that in the background, but I'd never heard it like said. There's so many times that people arrive and they're like, hello, nice to see you. Yeah, great, wicked. And then we'd podcast for an hour and a half or whatever, just talking about them, having a silly laugh, making silly jokes, just having a good time and having a good conversation. At the end of it, without fail, everyone come in for a bear hug. Everyone, all those awkward handshakes when you first started. 40 minutes later, like you say, they were like, "Man, it was amazing, love that, oh, wicked."
Completely different relationship after.
Yeah,
amazing.
Like, but you're like friends, and I think it's because you've had a meeting, right? And it's that face-to-face thing, which is so powerful when you actually have a face-to-face meeting. It's that, but there's no sales in it. There's no nothing, so everyone gets to relax and just like, okay, cool, well, let's become like friends and build a rapport live and proud on air. It's so powerful.
Isn't it amazing how psychology plays a big part in all of this stuff? Yeah. I mean,
how often do you look at it?
Always. We kind of coined the phrase art, science, and psychology. And that's the route to success. Okay. So the art is the visual, the graphic, the video that says, look at me, stop scrolling and look at this particular piece of content of which you are in control of. That very action feeds the science of the platform, the algorithm, but do you get your customer enough to speak to them here? Do you understand the psychology that has them take up on that call to action, clicking on a link? Because the only spontaneous impulse buy you can rely on from social media is to click on that link. The rest you have to rely on your website loading quick enough, or the description or the landing page looking the
sales
business
funnel. Sure. Yeah.
That's it. The rest is down to all that stuff. But all social can deliver you is that first initial action in essence. And the art and the psychology feeds back into the science of this platform now understanding who's actually interested in you. So if you've got poor scoring algorithm, you're receiving no little engagement, then unfortunately it's your fault.
Okay, so if people are having that situation, then Rik, drop us with some knowledge bombs. What can they start to do to get themselves out of that hole?
They have to understand how important you are or your service is to them first and foremost. And you have to understand the buyer journey as well. And there's 3 parts to it. So you can't just be putting out an assumptive close all the time, like click this link and buy now, click this link and come to my webinar or workshop. And if that's all that's going out, the person that don't even know they've got a problem isn't going to resonate with them. You have to go right back to the beginning and put a blend or a mix of all 3. Awareness. Did you know that X amount of % of people are failing to find leads on LinkedIn? Now, if you're in LinkedIn and you think, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Next is the consideration type of post. Maybe a testimonial or a testimonial video saying, actually, yeah, I use LinkedIn on a daily basis. And my current engagement with these guys have increased that by 80% odd. No, right. Okay. Now I'm going to consider using these guys. And then the next time you post, maybe you might drop a stronger, firmer call to action to say, look, if you want to be like this guy, sign up to my workshop now.
Nice.
And
Love it.
it's just got to be a blend of that across the whole week all the time. And slowly but surely, it'll start to resonate and people will start to sort of, I think, warm to you. And that's kind of like a formula that works for us all the time.
And I think that formula works, and it's very, very smart. And that is, we're less about the kind of social and more about the content creation. So I have to get social because we're trying to help people have some ammunition and some collateral to get out there, right? And actually have some bits to post. So it's so useful to learn these bits and pieces from you. But I think that works so well because not only then are you speaking to the different types of people out there, but you tell me when was the last 3 days in a row where you woke up as the same person in the same mood? Well, I know the last 3 days for me was, and it was the beginning of the year when every day I was like, this isn't Christmas. I'm not eating any mince pies. This is some baby back bullshit. Like I don't need this in my life. Right. But literally was because we were, I just got into that, but I will wake up, drive to work and listen to a comedy song and show up in a different mood than I wake up to when I drive and listening to some driving, motivating metal or whatever I'm listening to that day, right?
Totally.
So in that instance, if I'm following you guys and you're posting all the same type of content all the time, although that may have spoken to me yesterday, like today I might be like, nah, I'm in a much more like, I just want to get this done. I wish someone would just tell me, we fix your problem and be like, okay, cool, click. Whereas tomorrow I might need a little bit more touchy-feely, or I might be more interested in my problems, etc. So I think it's so smart because it not only speaks to all the people, but all of us as people, if you know what I mean, and the fact that we're allowed to change and be different.
Yeah, and that's only one part. Just one part that's just the broadcast, and that doesn't turn an algorithm on. They say consistency is key, and yes, it is when you're delivering value like you're doing in this environment now, because it's considered. It takes a lot of work and effort, but posting every day is the absolute bare basics. You have to do the outreach and the purposeful engagement, the purposeful outreach, particularly on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn actually tells you exactly how to use it. The social selling index says you got to do this, and this.
Yeah.
And that's the way we're going to reward you. And if all of a sudden all you're doing is connecting with people and not posting, they'll not look after you.
No. Like it just won't. You mentioned purposeful engagement.
Yes.
I'd like to think I know what that means, but tell people out there a little bit, because I think this becomes, right, for those people who are really struggling on kind of social across the board. Starting to post can make sense because we can break it down to simple numerics of being like, hey, you want to post every business day? That's 20 posts. Yeah. Okay, now let's think of 4 things you can talk about 5 times, right? Okay, now we can get to the point where we can kind of mechanically put some themes and stuff and start to get thinking about content you're releasing. But I think people really struggle with engagement if it's going to be purposeful.
Yeah.
Because there's too much thumbs up, smiley faces, the sunglasses, great post, Rick. Hey, love the post, Rick. Thanks for posting, Rick. And personally, I don't think that kind of engagement is very purposeful.
Yeah, no. Listen, we're as cheeky as often enough to even give people guidance on a particular status update. So if we want to engage somebody in business, I've purposefully sought that person out. And the way in which I do that is, for example, there's lots of LinkedIn experts out there having webinars and workshops. So I will attend one on LinkedIn. And what LinkedIn will do is will give me a list of all these people wanting to attend a webinar put on by an expert in their field, and I'll connect with them. I understand you want to learn more about LinkedIn. It's important to hone and, test your skills. It would be great to connect. And then I'll follow up saying, listen, did you manage to make or meet that LinkedIn workshop or webinar? If not, here's a one that I've recorded earlier. It would be great for a simple one-to-one just to give you some pointers. I would purposefully engage with their content, knowing full well where these guys have come from, and comment. Listen, great post. Really agree or disagree, and actually give some meaningful interaction in terms of my thought process behind, I don't know, the annoying poll they may have put out at that present moment in time.
Yeah.
And as well, if it's a post that isn't particularly great, I will share that post into a message for them and with them and say, listen, great concept. However, nip, tuck, and tweak this, and you might see a better result next week. Let me know how you get on.
So now I'm going to jump on the other side of the fence because I can't agree with you more right now, but damn it, no one wants to hear that on a podcast. Just people agreeing and having a good time. So no, this is where I come up against a lot, right? When I'm trying to explain this to more traditional businesses who haven't started to lean into social, first thing they're going to say, that sounds like a waste of time, right? That sounds like a waste of time. You want us to go out there and give stuff away for free and spend what? Half an hour or an hour a day? That sounds like there's only 8 hours in a day, and already our salespeople aren't hitting numbers. Our marketing people are already maxed out. So is there a real benefit in that, Rik, of going and leaving purposeful comments on people's posts?
Yeah. I think we can't avoid, and it's a kind of a standard answer, to be honest with you, but we can't avoid that it is a common, as much as we think it's new, it's now common part of lead generation day to day. We can't avoid it. And I know, we do a workshop right now. It said, how many mobile numbers or telephone numbers that you don't recognize do you ignore right now? Oh yeah, all the time. Nearly every single one of them.
Every single one. Yeah. Anonymous numbers don't get through. And if I don't know the mobile, I might between 9 and 5, maybe.
Yeah. But you like a little bit of engagement on your content if you're posting on social.
Especially from people I don't know.
I know. You get this annoying notification on LinkedIn that says 1, and you think, what's that one person want from me? So you feel compelled to engage with it. You gotta keep it neat. We can get access on the front of so many people's phones if we want to by sending them a message on LinkedIn. However, if your approach is wrong, then you've got an issue. So tracking and knowing your numbers is going to be key to all of that kind of stuff. But it's your approach, and look, it's a modern part of lead generation. People buy people. And I think you've got a real issue with your company culture and your company structure. If you're afraid of social, you don't want to give up the freedom to your sales team just in case they get another job somewhere else, all these various different things. You've got to really look at yourself and really sort of assess whether you actually want to stay in business or not.